Welcome to the Whiskey Roundtable. We are your hosts.
Big G.
Here, Helen Keller.
Doug Dunbar. And once again, our special guest, Jennifer Boggs, is here with us.
Yay!
What's up, Jennifer?
Oh, all kinds of good stuff, right?
So you had to walk all the way here? Did I understand that right?
I did.
Uber threw you out of the car?
For being too rowdy.
Too rowdy.
Too
Okay.
rowdy, yeah.
You hit him in the head with the bottle?
No, I don't want to break it.
Okay.
I didn't. That's right.
Good call. Good call.
So we a little late starting.
Yeah,
Jennifer and my wife had a board meeting to attend upstairs, but so that didn't break up till.
And trust me, it was very
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah. You can imagine. We can imagine how exciting that must have been.
I eavesdropped on it.
But yeah, they
Did
did
you?
have to.
Fell asleep twice.
We had to pry them away from that so they could come and drink whiskey. So. All right. So.
All right.
Really had to twist her arm.
Yes,
didn't you?
yeah.
Give her the
I
twist.
really want to be in this meeting.
But you're a frequent viewer of the show and a great appreciator of whiskey. So we love having you here with us
Happy to be here.
and helping us evaluate some of these whiskeys. Today this is one I've never had, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, but Black Velvet's good stuff. We're going to love it.
Oofa.
Yeah.
Cooper's Crow. Jameson's Cooper's Crow for our Halloween month.
Croze.
Little play on the word crow.
Yeah, we'll
Croze.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Karen will, at least.
Yeah.
And you're going to help me.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's
Lord knows I
kind
need
of
it.
interesting, yeah. So what's going on? What's
Done a hell of a day, man.
Been running our dupas off
I
today.
ain't got much dupa, but I'm trying to hang on to what I got.
I got a
left.
whole bunch. We're covered.
That's it.
doing a little Halloween shindig this weekend, right? And then is that an annual thing? Is that
It
It's
has been in the
becoming-
past. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I said,
No, I
it's
said we-
becoming one.
Yeah, we did it for years and years and years, and then people got stupid, and we kind of put that away for a while. But with business and everything else, I do it more for people that support me, so to say. So
right?
and it's going to be fun. We usually do it a week earlier than now. We usually, actually not usually, always have grabbed great weather, but tomorrow is going to be the traditional clam bake weather. So.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm sure since it is a Halloween party, everybody will be wearing masks.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're going to be wearing masks for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully Halloween mask. And but
Yeah,
anyway,
Greg.
what?
Now that counts, right? I don't know about the whole.
I got
Is
some
that-
dirty underwear I'm going to use for a mask.
Does the High Department of Health count Halloween
Trust
masks?
me,
or
the
their
Department
face
of Health
coverings,
is
right?
not stopping at my
Their
driveway.
face coverings,
Trust
I
me when I
think
tell
so.
you.
Oh, that sounds like a dare. I don't know.
That's a good dare. Come on over if you want to.
That's
what's-
for to drink.
So I bought Karen a nice gift this week. So I was driving back and forth
Where
to.
was I? What?
What?
You bought me a gift?
I did. It's a coffin. So. But anyway, we won't go there. But I did.
That was last year's
I
gift.
did build her a coffin last year for a gift. So
Before
I
I
had to
actually-
took I brought in the measuring guy. He measured up. He's like, "Oh, this is going to be a double coffin." I'm like, "Oh, that's okay." Blah blah blah. So
Double wide.
double wide coffin. It's even got wheels on it. You can haul it anywhere. So, but
Steve
anyway,
Williams is in Oklahoma.
Steve is with mom and dad. Yes, Steven,
Hey.
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. Williams. Hope you're all watching the show. And Dad, don't let Myrna give you a hard time. All right, if she gives you a hard time, Dad, you tell her to go sit in the garage and watch the Steelers. All right. So, so I'm sorry.
Were you going to say something?
No, I was just talking about this week. I started.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't been playing around, but I started playing chess again. I like playing chess, so
Sean will let you do it.
I usually play against the computer.
Two-handed or one?
Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, but I stay at the skilled level. Thankfully, I haven't lost recently to the computer, but it did once beat me at chess, but
I've never lost a game of
Yeah.
chess ever.
it was no match for me.
Have you ever played one?
At kickboxing.
What did you say? Did I miss it?
Yeah.
Damn it!
Every week.
I do miss it every week.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
and Mr. Williams is watching, so
All right.
he's in.
What's up, Dad? Love you,
And Lauren is watching.
Lauren. Miss Lauren.
yeah, Lauren. All right.
Whoop, whoop. They're going to be here next week, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know if I don't know. But,
don't know if she's
Cameron will be here
Okay.
next week.
All
I don't
right.
know if Florence.
Leave
It'll
Cameron
be
at
nice.
home. Just Miss Lauren come out.
Yeah.
Is he gonna do some more mixed drinks?
They, I was going to talk later about that, but
Oh, sorry, let me
they,
ruin the surprise.
no, that's fine. That's good. That's
She didn't get the note.
next week's Whiskey Wizard is going to be a special one for our Halloween episode. I don't know if this is our first annual, but it's a Halloween episode next week, and they did Cameron and Lauren did a special help for me on the Whiskey Wizard, and it'll be very topical for Halloween. So
All right.
so
All right.
look forward to that because it's going to be well worth it.
Can't wait. I'm excited.
And we have some other special things planned, so maybe some live music. We'll see.
Oh,
Whoop, whoop.
okay. All right.
I'm sorry, honey. I was just,
I was
trying to do the traffic here.
I thought Eric Clapton was coming next week, but maybe not. No, we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. But what are you talking about?
I don't know. You were telling a story. You bought me something.
I did buy you
Oh, yeah.
something. Was it the casket? No. Fire pit? No. So anyway, I saw this. I drove past it in the last couple of weeks a bunch of times, and there's this big cast iron pot. Okay, like the witch's pot. What do
Okay.
they call it? A cauldron? Is that what it's
Cauldron,
called?
yes.
So it looked like it was $100, and I figured it was probably expensive because they are big
Well,
money.
right, and it's cast iron.
It's all
right?
cast iron.
Okay.
And so, I mean, everybody drove by it, I'm sure over the last couple of weeks. And so I was coming back. I stopped at the tire shop and paid for my tires for my car. And I was coming back, so I'm going to stop at that house and just look at it because it was raining. And then you couldn't really see the price on it at this point now. And I was like, so I stopped in there anyway. So I went over to the cauldron and I pulled the tag off the sign. And I first looked at it, I was like, oh, he wants $10. I'm like, $10? So I pick it up and I'm like looking at it, I flip it over and it's like, man, it's perfect. I thought it'd be cracked or whatever, because
Yeah.
that's usually they want to get rid of them when they're, this thing is perfect. So I went over to the house, I knocked on the door. Well, a couple years ago I had a couple truckloads of wood dropped off at my house and we only used one truckload. So I put a sign out there, free wood, and this guy stopped and I went outside and he's like, Greg. I said, yeah. It's me, Bob. I said, Bob, oh my God, he used to be our bus driver. So here it was his house. I didn't know. So I go knock on the door. He opens the door. I go, Bob? He goes, Greg? I said, yeah. I go, $10? He says, yeah. I go, what's wrong with it? He says, nothing. I used it as a Halloween prop. I said, well, I'll take it. And he goes, give me my $10. And he's smiling. I give him the 10. Now he's older. He's older now. It's
Yeah.
like 81, 82. I give him the $10. He says, it was nice to see you. I go, you too. He goes, load it yourself when he closed the door. So I went out. So wait till you see this thing tomorrow. It's like, it's like this big
Now,
around.
did he
Holy
have one of
crap.
those doors that close like that?
No, he did
Oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah, it was quick, but I could see through the pane glass. It's like, oh, you bastard! I'm coming back to burn your house down. No, he's a really nice guy, but
Like a bus.
yeah,
driver.
yeah.
Okay.
So I knew what you meant. But killing me. But anyway, so I brought it home. So I'm gonna unload it tomorrow, and
All right.
I wish I could find some dry ice to throw in there, but I probably shouldn't do that because the kids would be putting their little.
No, we've got the fog machine.
I was gonna say use a fog machine.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Now, if you,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
If you need our dry ice, I would make an effort to find some, bring it.
No, don't, we're going to have kids tomorrow, and I don't want, they'll put their little fingers in there, and then that'll be the end
Well,
of that.
then they'll know, right?
Well, if that's the case,
Well-
let's start a fire. No.
They'll just have littler fingers.
Say there's a candy bar at the bottom
Gotta
there.
pick
First
your
one gets it
children,
gets
right?
$5. Don't put your face in there. You see what your father's hair looks like.
I don't know. When I was a kid, if I just saw a cauldron with smoke coming out of it, I wouldn't stick my hand in there. But
You never.
I know kids today.
Kids today.
It's
Yeah.
today, yeah. Well, we can just figure it's like a science experiment. They learn something when they come to Battaglia's.
That's true. That's true. So anyway, that was Karen's gift. For $10, I couldn't beat it, man.
So what are we doing with whiskey today?
We are
What's the-
doing Jameson's Cooper Croze. Is that it? Croze?
Cooper's
Coopers
Croze.
or Cooper? Which?
Yeah.
Cooper. I always get it all mixed
It's one of their latest releases, and Karen's going to tell us all about
A little bit about it. You ready to do that now?
Come
it.
on.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
get into it.
So, a little bit of trivia. What allows Irish whiskey to call itself Irish whiskey? The spirit must spend a minimum of 3 years maturing on the island
Sorry.
of Ireland. So, Jameson was established in 1780 by John Jameson. And the way that he made the whiskey, they still continue that tradition today. So, if you've ever looked at a bottle of Jameson, it has the family motto on the bottle, every bottle. And it says,
Don't drink this if you're pregnant.
probably,
Okay, just
but
checking.
that's not the family motto.
Oh, didn't know.
Sin amitu, which is Latin for without fear.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, who knew?
Yeah.
But so for Jameson, all their barley is grown locally in Ireland, and the water that they use to distill with is from the Dungorny River, which actually flows right through the distillery.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, really?
Which, yeah, that is cool.
That was cool.
But it's pretty fitting because the word whiskey comes from the Irish ushkabar, which I probably totally ruined that, but
That's
I was
not-
watching YouTube trying to figure out how to say it. But it means water of life. So you got the river running right through there, ushkabar.
Nice.
That's the old Irish, right? Because Ushkabar.
Oh,
Did I? Okay. Well, I mean,
I didn't know.
water of
Doug.
life.
Come on, Doug.
Well,
Hey, Doug, let me open the door.
Slanja is the Gaelic for water of life. And by the way, in English, it's water of life. So.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Really?
Here, hang on a second.
Oh my. Okay.
All right, so the barley's from Ireland. The river goes right through the distillery. Then they use a farm in the south of France to ship in all of their maize or their corn. And they go to the United States and Spain to get their casks for the oak.
Really?
Yes. So what they say, the smoothness from Jameson comes from a triple distillation process, and it's the method that John Jameson built the Jameson distillery on years
Kind
ago.
of ubiquitous with Irish whiskeys.
Is it
Triple
triple?
distillation, yeah.
So they did experiment with the quadruple distillation process to see if it was any better, but they basically said less is better. They're going to leave that
Right.
one
Well,
without any comment, and they're sticking with their triple distillation.
Yeah, because you can take too much out of a whiskey, right? Too much distillation.
Correct.
You lose some of those cogeners, which we'll hear more about on today's Whiskey Wizard on the chemistry of whiskeys.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, Cooper's Croze, it's an Irish whiskey, and it is a celebration or a tribute to their head cooper, Ger Buckley. I hope I said that right. G-E-R. It's Ger or Ger, one of the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Ger. So, in the 1850s, there were 10,000 coopers that worked in Ireland, and today there are only 4 that carry the title of Master Cooper.
Well,
And Ger, he's one of them. He's the master cooper at the Middleton Distillery, where Jameson is made, and he's a 5th generation Irish barrel maker.
what happened with the rest of them? They fall in the river
Maybe.
that went through the distillery?
Maybe. But what he says is that's as far back as his family records go, or 5 generations.
Wow.
But he says it could possibly be as many as 15 generations.
Wow.
Wow. And that, yeah,
That's
all
pretty
making barrels, right?
cool. Yeah.
You
So-
think about all the generations. I mean, for
300 years.
the distiller,
It's
I mean,
just, that is amazing. I mean,
And when you're aging stuff,
This whole country is not even that old.
for when you're aging stuff and you're the master distiller, or and you're aging stuff for 4 years, 10 years, 12 years for a batch, and the reality, I kind of think like this, and I know it sounds silly, but after 3 long period of distilling, you're basically 30 more 40 years old, more older, so to say.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of cool. I know that you said that they did this 3 years.
To be an Irish whiskey,
Yeah,
it has
three
to-
Has to, yeah. it's
Yeah.
aged
But that's pretty
3.
cool. Anyway,
But I'm sure it's the average is higher.
So a Croze, we were talking about this
The
earlier.
name, the Croze.
The name Croze comes from Gur's favorite tool, which is called a Croze, and it's a tool that's used to make the groove into the head of the cask or the barrel.
Yeah.
That's what it says. An implement used to make the groove into which the head or the cask of the barrel is positioned.
Now,
That's better.
according to Webster, the second definition for Croze, Croze is also has to do with the bird crows, and why the spelling is different, I don't know, but the derivation goes back to the meaning is a topic which somebody drones on and on about, which most people aren't interested in. So it's called a Croze if it refers to that kind of a topic. Kind of like now, me talking probably. But anyway, somebody used to tell a story, and there is some history on it. But he used to always talk about crows, the birds, and so that's how it got its. That's the etymology of the secondary meaning for crows.
And then there's your Edgar Allan Poe reference that you made on our.
Well, yes. So we're trying to tie everything to Halloween. So yeah, crows as in the raven, and of course here in Cleveland we don't say ravens.
Amen.
Oh, come on.
We don't say browns either.
Hey, wait, let me take a drink of my
Yes.
platform.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the third meaning.
Took that out just for you, Snyder.
That's it.
Anyway, Cooper's Croze is one of 3 of Jameson's Whiskey Makers series. And the Whiskey Maker series is basically a tribute to their head cooper, of course, which is the Cooper's Croze, their head distiller, and their head blender. So the second one, Blender's Dog, which is also available in the U.S., is a tribute to their head blender, which makes sense, Blender's Dog, Billy Lighton. And then the third one is called Distiller's Safe, and it celebrates the head distiller Brian Nation and his mastery of the Irish pot still. You cannot get that one in the U.S., so I hear. So I think we have a challenge.
Yeah, you might want to go for that.
So that's what I got, kids.
Okay,
All right.
well let's. I think it's time to give this one
Pass
a
out.
try. Yeah.
All right. You
Yeah, I can get this.
get those two. Pass this over to Miss Karen.
Danke schön.
Thank you.
I love how Jennifer wore her Ghostbusters t-shirt today.
Hey, I'm trying to fit it in with the theme here. Y'all didn't get the memo yet.
That's right. No.
So a typical Irish whiskey,
Really light.
it's very light in color.
So this is an 86 proof, right?
You know what? I did not find that, but
And
I'm
it's,
sure you are correct.
New charred oak, ex-bourbon, and ex-sherry finish. So, and I don't, for an ex-sherry, ex-bourbon, well, I don't see much in the color that would
No.
suggest sherry finish.
Right.
Mm-mm.
It smells wet. Like wet fur.
Suggested retail, $70.
$70. Yeah.
You said
Wow.
it smells what?
It smells wet. Like wet, damp.
I don't get that.
I don't get.
Like a peaty damp, or
Yeah. But I don't get much of the.
Like Jimbo got caught in the
I
rain.
get a little
That's
bit
kind of
of.
what I'm getting at. Yeah, that's.
oh, Jimbo.
I get a little citrus and.
I get orange out of it.
Yeah, orange, good good pull, and I get a little coconut. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
Or light fruit like apricots or something like that.
I would say more, yeah.
I think it's more fruity than anything, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
I would
It's
agree
definitely
with,
got a fruity nose. I was.
Got a little sweetness in the smell, so I'm not going to say any dark fruit, but even
No.
though it was in sherry cask, but I still get that
But yeah,
I would say apricot.
orange.
Irish whiskey
I don't really get the
often
citrus.
has some light fruit to it.
Mm.
You know, just because it's a light whiskey, and usually brings out those.
I definitely get. I don't always get it in things, but you know, a lot of times I get a lot of, not a lot. I do get a little bit of that earthy grass, so to say, but real light. But I kind of pull that out of here too. But
All right, I could say earthy. Maybe that's better than wet fur.
wet fur.
poor Jimbo, making fun of poor Jimbo.
Yeah, I get a little of the apricot and I get a little bit of the earthy in it. To me, it smells like a typical Irish whiskey.
Oh, okay. No, I mean that's what you're smelling. I just I think I get more orange than anything, and I don't know what the nose is going to be, but that's what I personally get out of it.
Maybe a hint of vanilla in
Yeah.
Well, you want me to read the nose?
there.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. What do we got?
So it says a subtle flower petal perfume develops into rich, ripe fruits, while some charred oak and cedar wood bring balance and complexity.
Okay.
So I'm gonna okay.
Cedar
I'm
wood
gonna change
makes sense.
my earthiness to cedar. Okay.
All right.
That's I couldn't fit. It said, but it's light though. It's real light.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's not rich. It's not, you know, doesn't
Yeah.
hit you upside the head or anything.
So
So we're gonna
give
let's
us a
see
try.
what the palate's like on this thing.
All right.
Let's go for it.
Let's give it a shot, kids.
Definitely a malt whiskey.
Yeah.
Sweet at first.
Yeah.
Spicy too.
Spicy but gentle.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's spicy for an Irish whiskey.
I don't get a lot of flavor out of it, kids.
Little tang on the back end.
I definitely get some. I get some banana, and I still get some coconut, some tropical fruit in here. A little bit of the, I guess, stone fruit, if you will, apricots or whatever.
You said it's an Oloroso? I can almost pull that out of it like a
Yeah, but yeah, usually that's
Wine.
going to give you the dark fruit
yeah.
kind of flavor, but there's no dark fruit.
There's no dark in there at all.
But it must be the combination in the way they finished it. It gives you just enough fruit to give you some of that. I don't know what I would equate to tropical fruits.
I don't. I do get some oak out of there, but it's really not a dry oak as compared to some of the other others that I've had from Jameson.
The
But
second one's sweeter.
it is sweet.
Second sip is sweeter, not as spicy. I get a little of the wood too, but I don't know if I would go. I don't know if it's oak. It's like I don't know something, but not
Cedar?
strong enough. Yeah, probably wet cedar.
So
Well,
we're just FYI for the audience. I think we have a severe thunderstorm.
do have a
hitting,
severe
just in case we
thunderstorm
lose
on.
power, or suddenly the show disappears. You'll
If we
know.
lose power, we'll see you next week, kids.
NEM! NEM!
At least we're in the basement.
There we
Yeah.
go. We're already in the basement.
Carry on.
We're good. I have to go bring the refrigerator down here, but we're gonna be fine.
We got some bourbon.
We got bourbon. So give
So
us the palate.
taste. The initial impression is from the sweet vanilla of the American bourbon barrels.
Okay.
It brings added depth to the rich fruit typical of the ex-Oloroso sherry butts. And it has a pleasant touch of hazelnut and toasted wood that complement the pot still spices.
And then I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it was a toasted wood more than the oak.
Yeah,
Yep.
a little
Yeah.
vanilla toast.
Maybe some toasted coconut.
But I'm still getting some banana.
Okay.
A little banana. And we know what chemistry that comes from, right? From the Whiskey Wizards.
From you talking about the white dog? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
the esters.
Yeah, esters.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
give us the fruit and bananas isoamyl acetate. So
I just want to know
I
why
didn't get-
Sherry had to put her butt in this. I don't.
Well, I'm glad she did.
Sherry's
Hope
butt.
she washed and shaved.
Definitely some
Whatever.
sherry butt
It's a bit nutty.
contribution.
She's got her hazelnuts in there. Yeah.
Are we going back to nutskins?
Nuts.
Can we?
I got a blister. Anyway.
Yeah, one of our tasting notes on the previous whiskey was nut skins. Not nuts, but the
Nut
skins.
skins, that's it.
That was
Oofa.
got one of the more interesting comments.
So the finish, it says pleasantly long with vanilla sweetness, slowly fading into barley grains with a touch of oak char.
Okay.
And vanilla. Just saying. I mean,
And bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas, there you go.
Okay.
It's better the more you drink it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
Actually,
get more.
it's-
The more I drink it, the more oak I get.
And the smoother it
the
is.
smoother
Yeah.
it is.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And the nose, I think, is coming out as well. The more that it kind of hovers over here.
I like it. I like it.
I think, like a lot of Irish whiskeys, it has a lot of. I mean, they're kind of subtle, more subtle whiskeys.
Correct.
And delicate. So
That's what we always
Again,
say,
it's-
or I always say that anybody that likes some whiskey or they're not sure what the where they want to go with it or whatever, Jameson's the best product to start with.
it's a
Really,
a
is.
great one, and
It's a very
again,
nice entry.
As
Yeah.
we've talked about, I think a good entry single malt is Glenmorangie 10 is a great entry. So similar character, very light.
We picked up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very light and soft whiskeys.
We picked up a Scotch that I want you to try tomorrow.
Oh right.
So
He's going to hate that. Just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know.
You're
if
gonna
I'm-
like it.
I don't know, Frank. But
you're gonna love it.
So I can say I have not had Irish whiskey in a while, and when you said Irish whiskey is a good intro if you're not used to whiskeys, since I've been doing the show now for almost 2 years, it's amazing how my palate has changed, and this is very good, but I'm wanting more. I'm wanting something more depth. I'm wanting something a little bit more zing.
Richer.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels bland almost. Like,
Yeah.
If that's the right word.
Yeah. So it's just
I
an
think-
example of how your palate changes as you
Yeah,
get
sure.
into some of these.
And I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't say. Yeah, it's like I said, they're more delicate whiskeys, the lighter sensibility to them, and I think they have their place. There's a time when that's the kind of thing I'll want to grab, and
Jameson's always been their products, in my opinion, have always been lighter, smoother. Some of them are flavor bombs, some of them are not. But I think it's a great product in my personal
Oh,
opinion.
definitely. That by no means that it's not good. It's just amazing how your palate changes
And
over
it,
time.
And it will too.
Or what you like.
Right.
Right? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. Everybody has a different taste and likes different things. And,
right,
Yeah.
that's what we're all about. So.
Mm-hmm.
But another reason why it is a great one to get into because it is not as zingy, tangy, or whatever.
Yeah,
So
and-
you get to
In
enjoy.
fact, I'll have a little more while we're on it.
You get to enjoy that whiskey taste, and you're not overpowered by some of those other
Right, and
flavors and
if
things
you
that
were
are going
doing
on.
a tasting session, right, and I've done it to introduce people to whiskey and the different types of whiskey, and I'm usually going to start with an Irish whiskey, as the entry because it's softer, lighter, and they still can start to understand the complexity of what's there, but it's a natural graduation then to the next step.
Correct.
and it's
agree.
only 86 proof, too, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to burn somebody up.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So it's a perfect starting. If you're doing a tasting session, it's a good way to start. So, I like this, but let's see what we get on the scores. What do
All right.
What do you have there, G?
Am I going first?
Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
I'm going to give it a solid 2.9.
Any reasoning behind that?
No, I think that's where it fits.
That's just your overall impression
Right.
where it falls.
So
Okay.
I just me. I like to go back and look what else we ranked, and
Right.
you did the spirit of the Apocalypse at 2.9 as well. So just, do you want to rethink your score, or would you keep it on the same?
I'm going to rethink it. 2.9.
Okay. No, that's fine. I just...
He rethought it and decided that he was right the first
Well,
time.
right there.
Okay, Karen, what do you?
What do you got, Karen?
All right, I'm going to give it a 3-2.
Okay.
Like I said, I like it. I'm gonna give it a 3.05.
How many decimal places are we allowed to go out?
That's it.
Okay.
Just 2.
Just
Yeah.
2? Actually, I agree. I was thinking somewhere between 3.2, 2.9. Probably at 2.9. This is something that would sit on my bar for a long time.
And it has.
There you go.
2.9
And
for
again,
Jen.
Jen is a very experienced palate too. So I think you guys are all
pretty
more
much.
experienced.
I think we're all pretty much in the same
And
room,
what,
so to say.
What did you
so.
give us, Karen? What was your?
I gave it a 3-2, so I give it a little
You
bit
get
Yeah,
higher
you
higher,
like it.
yeah.
Well, and that makes sense.
because
you
I'm
would
a
like
little
this.
newer to it.
I don't like fruity. I just never, I've never liked fruity wines. I just don't. I don't. It's just not me. But everybody's palate's different.
But I like.
Yeah,
I do
exactly.
like esters in as part of the profile of a balanced whiskey, though. Meaning some fruity element to it, whether it's dark fruit or light fruit. Again, I'm all about. I love getting the tropical coconut and banana and things like that. That's always those are the whiskeys I tend to like the most. But I do like also. I like a robust whiskey with those spicy elements. If we're talking about rye or bourbon,
Kentucky Owl comes
and
to
then
mind.
of course, as we know, when it comes to Scottish whiskey, I like the full-bodied Islas and peated whiskeys. So.
All right.
As do I know some of the people watching tonight.
Yeah, we have any comments?
Oh yeah, let me go check what's
You're
doing out
killing us
there.
over here. Sorry, audience. She does it all the time. She don't want to hear what you guys have to say.
I know Lauren Slater is fond of those Isla whiskeys, as am I.
So yeah, Lauren made a comment about the triple to the quadruple distillation. She said too many distillations and you'll lose the character from the grain. It's basically a vodka at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
Interesting.
Yep.
you don't want to over distill, right?
Nope. And Steve Williams says, hey, if anything happens with the weather, save the whiskey. And don't worry about the refrigerator.
Thanks, brother.
Oh, G Money just said
G Money, what's
he
up?
bought a box of the CAO 770s.
He bought a box, but he's sharing them with me. So
You didn't know that, Big G Money?
I don't know if Big G's coming out tomorrow or not.
So,
I told him bring his kids.
We were remiss and we didn't ask you about what you were smoking tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm smoking I can't
Cigar.
say it's a 660. It's a 60 ring gauge, but it's more like a 5.5. But I'm actually smoking a Cuban cigar that we acquired just a couple bundles of, and
Cuba.
I acquired one of the bundles yesterday, but that's a whole different story. I won't bore you guys with. But so anyhow, that's what I'm smoking. It's a great cigar. Maduro. I know there's a little Nicaraguan blend in there, but majority of it, it's a good.
So
cigar.
that makes it so it's all legal and all that.
Correct.
As far as we know.
Right. So, yeah, that's what I'm smoking. I didn't want to get into it too much, but that's what I have. That's what I have today. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay.
We ready for what's that guy's name?
The whiskey.
The whiskey fireman.
The whiskey.
The whiskey pants are on fire. The whiskey wizard.
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 The Weasel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weasel or wizard?
We're going to go to the Whiskey Wizard, and this is part 2 in our series on the chemistry of whiskey. So I
Absolutely.
hope you enjoy.
All right, kids.
We'll
see
be
you in a
right
minute.
back.
Bye bye.
It's the Whiskey Wizard.
Hello and welcome to the Whiskey Wizard, where we say that whiskey making takes scientific knowledge and artisan skill and dedication and a bit of the wizard's alchemy of light, air, earth, and fire. Tonight we continue with part 2 in our series talking about the chemistry of whiskey. Again, we want to take things a bit farther so that our audience is equipped to make the most of their enjoyment of whiskey. The goal here is to link flavors and aromas with specific compounds derived from the stuff and steps involved in making whiskey. Last time we looked at many compounds produced in the grain mashing and fermentation processes that have a big influence on a whiskey's flavor and complexity. As the yeast breaks down sugars, it also produces alcohol and other organics, some of which can combine to form esters. Esters are responsible for a broad spectrum of fruity, herbal, and floral flavor sensations in our finished spirit. So let's take a look at distillation and barrel aging processes. Ethanol and fusel alcohols are produced during fermentation. These are higher alcohols and are generally not desirable for taste, and some, like methanol, are poisonous. Methanol, acetaldehyde, and some other volatile compounds get removed in the heads, while heavier, oilier compounds such as propanol get removed in the tails or feints of the distillation run. The latter would give unpleasant burnt or rubbery flavors if allowed to find their way into the spirit. The former, well, can make you go blind, and that's why you want to buy a commercial product from experienced distillers and not your cousin Albert's first basement moonshine experiment. Some sulfur compounds can be created in fermentation that need to be removed. These could add stinky, rotten egg flavors. Fortunately, the copper surface of the still tends to capture these, so long as it has sufficient retention times and enough free, non-complex copper sites on its surface. Urea and ethyl carbamate, not good for the taste of whiskey, are also produced in fermentation and are typically removed during the distillation process. If you ever get a buttery taste in whiskey, that's diacetyl. Diacetyl comes from bacterial metabolism in the mash, and it can be a good thing at 1 part per million, lending to buttery notes and a nice mouthfeel, but it doesn't take much more to cause cheesy off flavors in the taste profile. As the mash is warmed for distillation, some compounds, such as eugenol, may form to add flavorful cloves and baking spice aromas to the spirit. The esters created in fermentation are a bit more volatile than ethanol, and some are lost in the heads, but usually most of these are the lighter compounds that are actually not desirable. Hopefully, many of the good flavor-enhancing esters remain captured in the heart of the run with most of the ethanol. In fact, peerless small batch American whiskeys target distilling to finish at lower proofs, staying under or as close to the 125 maximum for barrel aging. They say that doing this helps to retain as much of these desirable congener flavor compounds as possible that were developed in the mash and fermentation phases of production, while avoiding the need to dilute the spirit before it goes into the barrel. Now we get to barrel maturation, the final step, and it's clear to be sure that whiskeys, as we know it, fine wines, and other distilled spirits could not exist without the wonderful chemistry that happens when fermented or distilled product meets oak. When a fine new make spirit sleeps for years in a quality made and properly prepared oak barrel, pure magic often results. Suffice it to say that no one understands all the chemistry going on here, but we've known for centuries how well it works. After the slow toasting of barrels in toasting ovens, we break down some of the complex compounds in oak that enable some of its sugars to be extracted by the alcohol and water of the spirit over time. It also allows for the release of compounds called lactones that help to provide coconut flavors and the lush mouthfeel we get with aged whiskey. The subsequent flame charring of the inside of the barrel creates a 2 millimeter thick charcoal layer that the spirit must pass through as it expands into the wood in warmer conditions and then contracts back into the barrel during cooler times. That can add some smoky phenol astringency, but also acts as a carbon filter to remove unwanted, longer chain organics that we don't really want in our whiskey. Oak wood has a complex cellular structure, 95% of which is comprised of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. 5% of wood is other stuff. Hemicellulose can break down into simpler sugars when heated. These can add some complex sweet flavors. Lignin can add some light astringency. Wood also releases tannins that also add a subtle astringency and rich meaty flavors. Also produced is guaiacil, which brings rich barbecued flavors. Some tannins can combine over time, losing their youthful astringency and mellowing into something many describe simply as beautiful. Oak and spirit interaction releases lactones such as cis and trans-free methyl 4-octanolide, which is responsible for the coconut and general nutty richness that we associate with barrel aging. Another key lactone from lignin breakdown is vanillin, which is released to add the vanilla profile so typical and I think essential in whiskeys. Other lactone contributions include hexanol, which adds fresh grassy flavors, 2,3-methylbutanol for maltiness and toasted sugar, and seringaldehyde for spicy, smoky, and almond notes. And ethanol reactions with some of these wood compounds can, over time, add some more fruity and tart esters to the mix. American oak tends to lend more perfumed and floral compounds to the whiskey, while French oak a bit more vanilla and a lot of rich butterscotch. In the rickhouse, as we've noted in our past episode on barrel maturation, there are many microclimates, if you will, depending on a barrel's address within the structure. Since temperature can have a significant impact on the rate of these chemical reactions and the balance of byproducts from these reactions, this is why there can be so much variation from one barrel to another. Of course, since no two oaks and therefore no two barrels are exactly the same in terms of their wood's properties, this also throws in more splendid variation to the mix of flavors and aromatics that a whiskey may be imbued with. I think that even some compounds that are considered less desirable or as off flavors can also play a role in enhancing a whiskey when present in subtle enough concentrations. Flavors like leather and shoelaces can be positives to a dram's character, complexity, and enjoyment, again when they are not overdone. I think you've all experienced that before. And the further blend of some of these compounds can produce other unique flavors, just as mixing blue and red makes a new color purple. Then finally, we have finishing. We've done a whole episode on finishing. But obviously, if we take our whiskey and put it in a barrel, hogshead, or port pipe previously containing wine, sherry, rum, or cognac for another 2 years, all of the flavor compounds unique to the previous contents will be released by the wood to infuse our now well-aged whiskey with even more character and complexity. As we wrap this up, I wanted to note that Paul Hughes, renowned chemist and whiskey enthusiast, asserts that finished whiskey spirit contains hydrophobic clusters that hold on to many of these flavor compounds, making them less available to our nosing and tasting. He says that some added water releases many of these, allowing you to get their full effect. He claims this is why, to so many folks, some addition of water enhances the flavor experience when tasting whiskey. So it's a good thing to try, especially with high-proof spirit. And as we can see, each step in whiskey making, if done properly, can add new desired compounds and their flavors while tending toward removing others that are less desirable. I think great whiskeys are simply those that best achieve this aim of adding the most good congeners while removing the largest amount of those that would detract from our enjoyment. So look, when someone less experienced with sampling and appreciating whiskey says there can't possibly be all those flavors in there, you can all let them know that there are over 100 different compounds that are created in the process of making whiskey, and that each is distinctly responsible for a specific aroma or flavor, and that some even combine to create additional flavor characteristics. So yes, there are a ton of real flavors and real aromas in whiskey. So that's it for this 2-part segment on the chemistry of whiskey. I hope you learned something and found it enjoyable. This is Douglas Dunbar, the Whiskey Wizard, for the Whiskey Roundtable, Slàinte, and now back to the live show.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, so-
nice lesson.
Yeah, so that completes our chemistry of whiskey series, and that's something that, as you guys know, I've worked on for a long time.
Yep.
I read several books, did a lot of research over several months, starting from, I would say, the beginning of July, to put those 2 episodes together. So, I think I would just sum it up. I think it's good to realize that all those flavors that people talk about when they do a tasting, and it's subjective, but there are real compounds that are a part of that whole process of making whiskey that find their way into the spirit and end up being responsible for those flavors. So you can account for most of the things that you can smell and taste in whiskey, and you can tie it back to compounds that are released from the mash process, the yeast metabolism, with the grains, and then the distillation process, and then again a lot of the final, I would say, layering of flavor and aroma comes from the wood. And oak is very unique in the way that it allows the spirit to come into the wood and then go back out of the wood. That charred layer adds some extra filtration, removal of some bad compounds. The copper stills in distillation also tend to remove some of the flavor compounds that would not, produce flavors that aren't good for whiskey. So every step of the process seems to add something good and take something bad away that might otherwise be there. So I'm just thankful for that somebody figured all this out.
Right.
How to make whiskey the right way.
And why they weren't in jail either.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, and when you think about it, compared to fermentation that goes back probably to the origins of civilization, the process of distilling something and putting it into a barrel and aging it is comparatively new,
Sure.
right? You could go back to really the early 1800s before it. I mean, its origins go back before that to the 1600s, as we've talked about. But as far as really a process that people started to get down, and scientifically, it's not that old. So anyway, we're all very thankful that they got it right.
figured it out,
They
yeah.
got it right. Yeah. So yeah. And special thanks to oak and copper for their contribution.
Well, it's just quite an evolution, really,
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Yeah.
All that builds and builds and builds. And look where we're at now. Thousands of brands of whiskey and all these different finishes. I mean, there's so much.
Right. Yeah. The universe of whiskey is really just exploding right now. It's a fun time. I think we're in the golden age of whiskey. It's a good time to be alive, folks.
That's right.
Drink your bottles.
That's right. Yeah, so, all right.
So Jennifer, what have you been doing since
tell us.
we last?
Well, my funnest story. So I had to go to Minnesota for a week for work. So of course, I have nothing to do in the evening. So I decided to go tool around, check out some local liquor stores just to see if maybe you might find some good Kentucky bourbon in Minnesota. Minnesota is also an allocation state, so everything's allocated in Minnesota as well. So I was going to be waiting in line. I didn't have time for that. But I did check out about 6 different stores, and I had only taken my backpack with me as luggage. I had to go buy a suitcase at the Goodwill, and then I had to go to the dollar store and get some bubble wrap to bring home all of my whiskey, and that thing was packed tight. I was a little over the limit for the FAA, but I didn't get busted, so it was all good. So I was really excited. I found some bottles that I've been looking for, some of the Maker's Mark Stave collection, their new wood collection that just came out,
Nice.
the Minnesota picks, which was kind of cool, and Jefferson's Ocean Year 3, which was like,
Wow.
That's
I
huge.
didn't believe it. It was
That's
in a
huge.
grocery
So look-
store, liquor store.
So look, G and I
Yeah.
want to do a Jefferson's Ocean episode
Special.
or
Yeah.
special,
Oh
if you will.
yeah, I love the Ocean.
Because they're unique, and I have one. He's got
A couple.
a couple,
One or two.
one or two. So, and you've got your 3.
I
So
have
maybe
3.
that's a few. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
have you on, and we'll do a focus on Jefferson's
Yeah.
Ocean. So
We should
for
all
those
dress
of
as
you
sailors.
that
too.
don't know, and most of our viewers probably do, but that's
Jennifer really doesn't
Whiskeys.
have a problem.
Well, I probably do, but whatever. You only live once.
That's
I might as well
And,
enjoy it.
and we just
You shouldn't be talking there, son.
But for those of you that don't know, Jefferson's Ocean are whiskeys that they go on oceanic voyages for their entire aging process in barrels, loaded onto research vessels that tour the world's oceans, doing oceanographic research, and then each bottle has a unique batch number based on the voyage it went on, and then they tell you even kind of what was the weather like for
Right.
that batch. And the one I have, for example, says that it experienced a lot of rough weather, a lot of high seas, to where the crews had to go below decks, things like that. So, that tells me that it got a lot of agitation.
Amen.
And so there was probably a pretty
Some
good
pissed off
interface
whiskey
between
in
the
the
whiskey and the wood. And I'm sure you get the infusion of that oceanic air into those qualities in the whiskey. So I've never had one, and I'm looking forward to it. So.
I actually currently have Voyages 17 through 22 sitting on my bar as well.
Nice.
I love them, and our first
Good
one,
for
the
you.
first one I ever
That's
found was I think a
impressive.
14-year Voyage 14. But you can taste a difference.
Yeah.
Some of them you do get a little. You can taste the ocean a little bit in them. You
I
can
would-
tell the ones that were hotter than the ones that were. I mean, it's really amazing.
Well, maybe tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow, but for what we're gonna go do tomorrow. But maybe we will have a Oceans Ohio pick tomorrow as well. But I won't know until we get there.
Well, that would
So
be.
that would be a win-win.
Look at
No
their eyes
kidding.
just
I
lit
know,
up a
I'm like-
little bit.
Let's just go now.
I might be up for that. Greg. I might be up for that.
It's just it's fun hunting though, right? Because you just
Yes.
never know what you're gonna find. I
Right.
mean, it's just, and sometimes you don't find anything, and then sometimes you're like, oh,
Again.
It's like Easter.
yeah.
The golden age of
It's
whiskey.
the Easter
There's so
eggs.
much out there.
It's like
now.
Joe Biden
Yeah.
hiding his own Easter basket. That's what I'm saying.
We try to keep it non-political. Sometimes
It
that
wasn't
doesn't
political. It
always
was just a statement.
work. Okay.
A political statement.
No, so I have to say, I would like to thank you very much, Jennifer, for bringing
Yeah.
me my very first chicken cock.
Mhm.
You want to show that bottle?
Should I get it up?
Right to that camera, right?
Right in front of you.
Closest
Yeah,
to you.
there you go.
Am I too close?
So that's
No,
one of your
that's
favorites, right,
perfect.
Jennifer? And you've talked about that. And,
Oh, I just like it because of the name.
Oh, I just.
Atta girl.
Well, maybe I'll go get the
It
bottle.
is, it
But
is
there
actually
are-
delicious. I
And
enjoy
there's
it.
other,
Yeah.
there's other whiskeys that
Pink
kind
Cock.
of share a similar kind
Sure.
of name, right?
Right,
There's
right.
Fighting Cock.
Fighting
It's not
Cock,
as good.
right? That's what I was thinking.
It's a little rough.
Really? So that's better than fighting cock.
That I think it is.
We're gonna try that after we. Do we wanna? Do we have
But
a second?
the name chicken cock, I mean, is by definition isn't a cock a chicken? I mean,
Sure.
A rooster is it?
Is it?
Cock.
yeah,
Right.
but it's a chicken, right? I mean,
That's what I say every morning.
it's a little bit redundant. It's a little bit redundant, I think, but that's just.
I'm
but
like,
unless-
damn, it's roosters.
Well, no, we don't want to go there. So,
Here.
I'm sorry.
yes.
Sometimes my nut skin
So.
gets the best of me.
Yeah. So if I could ask, so you fill a suitcase, just so
Yeah.
we talking like, is that like 5 bottles, 10? What are we talking?
7.
Seven
Seven
bottles of
bottles.
whiskey. That's pretty good.
I
Yeah,
didn't
you
lose
would have.
any of them either.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. Years ago, I once tried to board a plane from Cleveland to California with 40 bottles of homebrew in my suitcase.
And how'd that go for you?
It didn't go very well.
Was that?
I got one of those. Doug Dunbar, please come to.
No, they have to be labeled. They have to be sealed.
Yeah, exactly.
I read all the rules. But see, the similar thing happened to me before. I went to Minnesota for another job for a 3-week training, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or whenever. They also have some really great wineries. At that time, I was drinking more wine. They have some really great wineries in Minnesota, too. In fact, the University of Minnesota has formulated a grape to survive their harsh winters.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. And so I went to a bunch of wineries, and then I ended up having to go buy a suitcase to bring them all the wine.
Isn't that what ice wine is?
That's part. Well, it's a different process,
Oh.
but yes, they do make an ice wine. The ice wines are very sweet. They're really
Yeah.
good though,
Yeah,
but they're
they're-
expensive because the process is a lot harder to do.
Exactly.
Mhm.
We up here we have Ferrante Winery out in Geneva, Ohio.
Yeah, Geneva's
And
there's a bunch of wineries up north Ohio.
they've got a great ice wine.
They do.
That was my introduction to ice wine. They come in like almost
Little
look like
baby
olive
bottles. Yeah.
oil bottles,
Yeah.
very thin
Mhm.
because you do. It's very sweet.
It's like a studio bottle. Yeah.
But yeah, it is very, very nice.
Awesome.
All right. So,
Okay.
do we have news?
I don't have any news today. Sorry.
So,
It's all on you today. I was running very hard today, kids. Sorry.
So Cascade Hollow launches a new whiskey series. Cascade Hollow Distilling Company. They are from the makers of George Dickel Tennessee whiskey. They announced a new line of a limited edition whiskey series named Cascade Moon. The series aims to pay homage to the distillery's history. So Cascade Hollow wouldn't necessarily fit with George Dickel's portfolio, according to the company, so they released Cascade Moon, and they're excited to have found a way to showcase these amazing whiskeys outside of the Tennessee whiskey category. So Cascade Moon edition number 1 retails for about $89.99, and limited supplies California, Tennessee, Texas, and expanding to other states after the month of October. So we might see that eventually. Sounds interesting. American independent bottler Lost Lantern debuts its first release. Lost Lantern is an independent bottler of American whiskeys founded in 2018. The bottler's first release is a blend of single malts from 6 American distilleries: Balcones, Texas; Copperworks, Washington; Santa Fe Spirits, New Mexico; Triple Eights from Massachusetts and Westward from Oregon; and finally the Virginia Distillery, which I've had their single malt. It actually is very good, where the whiskeys are blended, proofed, and bottled. So the age statements for all the malts are 2 to 7 years. So that's just out. So a blend of American single malts.
Interesting.
So you're getting more of that. You're seeing more single malts coming from places other than Scotland. So.
Yeah, Massachusetts. You said that. I was like, what?
Right,
They're known
right.
for Sam Adams, you know.
Exactly.
And Harpoon.
Everybody's getting in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Bladnock's masks have come out. They've announced the innovative Waterfall collection. They've come out with a new release. Another one of these distillery exclusives that they come out with every year. Master distiller Nick Savage has developed an impressive range of new products for Bladnock's award-winning range. So the Waterfall series really only has about 1,000 bottles per each of these different finishing ranges that they do, and he tastes after a certain amount of finishing, and then they'll decide at that point which barrel to put in. So it's kind of unique, and they really don't know. They couldn't tell you today how it's going to turn out with each batch. So they go through this whole process of finishing in different casks depending on what the master distiller fills that will most round out the whiskey. So They're only going to avail, like I said, 1,000 bottles for each of these releases, and batch 1 of the Waterfall collection is in very limited stock. But it's available through www.bladnock.com.
Gladnock?
Bladnock.
Bladnock. Okay.
So that's a lowland single malt distillery. So that's it. That's all I got.
That's it. All right, sorry, kids, I was not prepared today, just because of tomorrow, so I apologize.
No, but
Beat me up after
we're
this.
going to enjoy it.
That's okay. He doesn't have a costume for tomorrow, so I'm going to think of one for him to wear tomorrow. So if anybody knows Big G, you know he's always wearing a t-shirt and shorts. Always. So last year I said I'm
Well, I
gonna,
wear shorts till November 1st. That's usually...
he wears them all year. Like, you know.
It's fine. I can
So
respect that.
not like to go out or anything. Throw on long pants to go out and stuff. But he's, you know, just he's like a bear. He's always hot. So because he always
Leave my mother out of this.
Where do you think you got it from?
Oh.
So he's always wearing shorts and a t-shirt. So who else always wears shorts and a t-shirt that's famous? Richard Simmons. So I'm like, you have got to go as Richard Simmons for Halloween.
Work it.
Oh, I just got that visual image in my head.
So, and the perfect thing is earlier this year, I found out he did Jazzercise back in the 80s. So it's perfect, right?
I can see it. Little tank top,
Jazzercise?
some little silky
did.
shorts.
Yeah, some red striped shorts, and you can work it, girl. Come on.
Oh my god.
So, I have my work cut out. I got like less than 24 hours to throw this together. So,
It's going to be great.
Do you have to wear underwear?
no.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Why would tomorrow be any different?
But you're supposed to wear a costume.
Oh my goodness! You know how much I got to do tomorrow, kids? Cut me
You
some
don't have to
slack.
do anything. You just slip on those silk shorts and that little tank top,
Sounds
and
great.
you're good to go.
Sounds great. That's it.
Leave
you
it to
go.
me.
It's going to be fun.
Oh
Yes, it
my
will.
God. Can we go? Can we call it a day now?
Can we? Yeah, we
Yeah,
can call
hey,
it.
don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page if you've not already, and follow us on Facebook if you have any questions or comments. If you want to be a guest on the show, you can comment on Facebook, or you can email us directly at thewhiskeyroundtable@gmail.com.
Awesome.
So really don't have, kind of running out of whiskey quotes, but I still have to dig up some more. But tonight I'm going to leave you with a quick joke. if I could.
Sweet.
Okay. So a sturdy Scotsman sits down at the bar, and the bartender pours him a dram of his favorite single malt. A man at the end of the bar, obviously already having had a lot to drink, sways his way over to the burly man and says, "I want to tell you that your mother is the best sex around." And he walks smugly back to his seat at the end of the bar. The other patrons back away because they're expecting a brawl to ensue, because they know the guy, and the man but instead he just shakes his head and he stares down at his whiskey. He takes another sip and he notices that the inebriated man is staggering back his way. And this time he adds, I want to say that I had another go at our last night, and I mean to tell you it were great, very sweet." And then he staggers back to his seat. So once again, his pub mates can't believe that he's not laid this guy out flat, but instead he just sits there with a smirk drinking his whiskey. Then the husky Scot takes another sip, and the man at the end of the bar struggles to stand up in an attempt to return once more. And this time the strapping man has had enough. He quickly gets up and faces the souse and says, "For Christ's sake, Dad, get yourself home. You're drunk."
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
All right. Well,
Jennifer, thanks for doing the show.
Yes,
today.
thank
Yeah,
you.
it was nice
Thanks
to
for
see
having me.
Always a wealth of knowledge.
Fun to come. I like talking about this.
you. All right.
and now, I mean, that the show's over, we'll probably, I don't know.
We're gonna try. Well,
gonna try
I don't know
it.
about you, but I'm gonna try some of that chicken cock.
All right.
All right, that sounds like a good plan.
All right, kids. It's the end of the show. We'll
It's
see
another
you guys.
show.
Stay tuned for next week. It's going to be a very, very good show.
Right, we have our special
There's some
Halloween
things going on,
edition coming
so-
up next week. Lots of special things for you. We're excited, and we'll see you then.
Sounds great. Have a safe weekend. Be careful.
Take care, everyone.
We are the Whiskey Roundtable. Big G.
Karen Helen Keller.
Doug Dunbar,
Jennifer Boggs.
our
Catch you
special
guys
guest. So long, folks.
Bye-bye.
Hasta la vista.
If whiskey stopped working, every bar in town would be closing their doors, shutting down. Everybody would be trapped with their thoughts, 'cause nothing else would pay like bourbon or scotch. Oh no, oh no, no. If whiskey stopped working, where the hell would I be? Probably wasting lots of money trying therapy. If whiskey stopped working, what the hell would I do? Honestly, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be over you. If whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped working, oh, whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped. Poor Jack D would be out of a job. Jameson and Bean would be cut off. Hank Williams. If whiskey stopped working, where the hell would I be? Probably wasting lots of money trying therapy. If whiskey stopped working, what the hell would I do? Tell you the truth, I wouldn't be over you. Whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped working, oh, whiskey stopped working, if whiskey stopped, oh. If whiskey stopped working, where the hell would I be? Probably halfway out of this town, leaving Tennessee.